When the first trailer for 2026's Supergirl was released, I was trepidatious. I am such a massive fan of the book it's based on, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. I knew that no live-action film would come close to capturing the beauty and artistry provided by Bilquis Evely's and Matthew Lope's art. As each trailer was released, these lingering feelings of worry continued. I didn't love some of the design changes outside of just the film's visuals, and I thought the writing was a bit stiff and corny. I wasn't seeing any resemblance to the best parts of the book, so I decided that no matter what, I had to go into the movie with a fresh and open mind. I would do my absolute best to try and separate one of my favorite books of all time from the summer blockbuster looking to be the continuation of the new DC universe. What I didn't realize was that Supergirl would actively try to ruin this mindset with every decision it makes. It feels like Supergirl wants to take every aspect of the novel and do a worse version of it. It can't commit to a message or tone, and by the time the film ended, I felt like the movie left its characters and world in a worse spot than where it started. It takes a deeply moving novel about revenge and moving on from your past and turns into a clunky action film with none of the heart and none of the beauty. The film sees Kara, aka Supergirl, teaming up with a young girl named Ruthie as they search for Krem, a villain responsible for the loss of loved ones between the two leads. The journey takes them across the galaxy as they follow the trail of Krem's ruthless mercenaries, the Brigands. Immediately, the film starts off on the wrong foot. The inciting incidents aren't impactful enough to give the audience the sense of urgency and anger a revenge film like this wants us to feel. This is due to the film's largest issues, the story structure and editing. Both scenes that should establish our hatred for the main villain are very weak due to their editing and writing. You don't take Krem seriously as a major threat, and don't feel enough hatred towards him to want to see it through its end. The film uses a plot device where there's an important time limit, but it never focuses on the story device enough to make it feel urgent. It feels like our leads are just going from scene to scene before the movie decides that it needs to end the film. The time structure is utterly pointless in the long run, and is one of the many bad decisions the book simply does better. Now, this isn't inherently bad. Your movie can have a structure like this, where it's little vignettes leading to the film's conclusion, and still work. In many ways, last year's Superman did this very well with its story structure. That is, if you have something for your characters to learn and do in between these scenes. Unfortunately, this film does not have that. Its meandering is especially obvious when the film commits the cardinal sin of missing the lesson of show, don't tell. The movie tells me that Kara and Ruthie are growing as people and becoming closer, but you never feel it. There are so many small moments you can pull directly from the book to get these points across. The film just chooses not to, even with runtime to spare. The movie has all these scenes where they try and get the audience to feel powerful or pumped up, but they are never built up to naturally or satisfying. I felt like Kara herself never grew as a character enough to warrant these moments. The movie doesn't know what it wants to be. It wants to be a buddy comedy with elements from Mad Max and Guardians of the Galaxy, a story about cycles of violence, a reluctant hero story, and a character study of Kara and her grief. But every aspect of this movie is watered down. It's weak in its own right, not just compared to the book. The Guardians of the Galaxy feeling of the film is also terrible. It has numerous unceremonious needle drops, and moments of comedy that didn't land at all. It felt like studio meddling I thought DC would be free from. Remove the quippy humor and scattershot playlist, and the movie is unchanged, and probably better. I mentioned it before, but the editing of the film is downright awful. Random shots of characters walking or looking at something just to tell the audience that they are still in this scene. There are multiple moments where the film literally wastes multiple seconds to show us that a character is standing exactly where they were 4 seconds earlier. Action scenes are also very choppy, with unuseful close-ups and lackluster hand-to-hand combat. Top this off with bad visual effects, and it leads to only 1 or 2 of the movie's dozen action scenes being mildly interesting. I'm not sure if Craig Gillespie was unprepared to tackle action scenes, or if he wasn't sure how to film in the IMAX ratio, but clearly something went wrong in multiple of these production departments. The actual production design of the film, however, is rather strong. Some of the practical sets are really well detailed, as are the costumes and creatures that inhabit this DC galaxy. I do wish the film did a little more to flesh out its galaxy though. It doesn't fully give off a different vibe than something you might see out of Marvel or Star Wars. Millie Alcock as Kara brings the edge and spunk needed to differentiate herself from Superman, and I think it really works. I wish I got a little more from her in the writing department, but I am excited to see her dynamic with other DC characters in the future. Eve Ridley as Ruthie stole the whole movie for me. She was very vulnerable and heartwarming, and embodied exactly what Ruthie sounds and acts like to me from the comic. David Cornsweet steals every scene he is in. He's incredible. Anytime he was on screen was the only time I felt like the movie had some life. Jason Momoa is really great as Lobo, but he's absolutely nothing to do besides say a few one-liners and have some okay action scenes. He has no interesting dynamics with any of the supporting characters, and isn't even in the original book. You can take out every scene he is in to further flesh out Kara and Ruthie's dynamic, which the film wants me to care about. It felt like they knew the movie wasn't working, so they started scouring what DC characters were cool and would make sense to be in space. It's also so bizarre how much they marketed him for the film. They talked about how he was originally supposed to be in the book, but I can't imagine this would have been his role in it. Krem in this movie is also terribly written and performed. He doesn't come across as menacing or threatening, and once again leans into that lack of urgency. I feel like he poses no real threat to someone as powerful as Supergirl, without the help from the film's lazy writing. In this movie, Kara is easily tricked numerous times and depowered numerous times. Not to harp on Superman again, but it had Clark losing fights because of interesting conflicts and competent villains. This film sees Kara losing battles because of her own incompetence. I want to emphasize this as well. Every story issue, pacing issue, and character issue is not present in the book. Each of these problems I have brought up so far is something the book does not struggle with one bit. This isn't one of those scenarios where I say, oh, well the book is better because it has this scene and the movie doesn't have this scene. Obviously a book has much more breathing room than a feature film, but the problem isn't what's being left out, it's what's being changed. I'm going to go into some slight story spoilers for both the book and movie, so skip ahead to the time code on screen to avoid them. In the book, Krem kills Ruthie's father when no one else is around. So when Ruthie finds her father dead, she sees the sword, recognizes it as Krem's, then starts her quest. In this film, Ruthie's family is murdered right in front of her, and Krem just doesn't kill her. He also doesn't capture her, which is even more bizarre based on the film version of Krem. In the book, he conjures a powerful item that teleports Supergirl to a planet where she loses her powers and becomes weak. In the movie, Supergirl willingly goes there herself because she gets tricked by Krem, even though she knew of the planet's existence in the first place. I just don't understand why the movie would make stupider decisions when better options are right there in the source material. The movie creates problems for itself that the book already solves. The movie also deviates in one major way right at the end, which to me marks a fundamental misunderstanding of what makes Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow so great. Not only does it deviate from an incredible ending from the book, but it feels like it acts against the main message the film is trying to deliver. I felt like the movie hadn't earned that moment at all, and instead was actively trying to fight that moment from happening. It left such a bitter taste in my mouth that by the time the film ended, I was fuming. It didn't capture any of the heart, beauty, and soul of the original novel, and has enough basic movie level flaws on top of that. I so badly wanted to remove the book from my mind while watching the movie, but every choice is objectively worse in the film. By the end, Supergirl has nothing to say and leaves me incredibly nervous for the future of DC if this was the movie fast-tracked into production. I would love to hear what went wrong behind the scenes, because I really think something must have. It has so many conflicting ideas and tones, and it has nothing unique about it at all. It's a much worse version of an incredible book, so heartbreakingly, I have to say that Supergirl is best left avoided.